What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of IVE's first EP, IVE Mine, their second release of 2023, following their debut album, IVE earlier this year. Their second release of the year, of course, following a number of big singles in last year. IVE have very quickly become one of the biggest and most successful fourth-gen K-pop groups. Really dominant, especially over in Korea where they're huge sellers. And that's despite the fact that they are signed to Starship Entertainment. They are not signed to a big 4 K-pop label, which just makes their rapid ascendance and continued success all that more impressive because they just have less backing behind it than some of their contemporaries. And their last album, IVE, which I reviewed, youtube.com/nostalgiapod, check that out. I thought that was a pretty successful album, kind of continuing the trend of what they had done with their big singles. If you think about IVE to this point, year and a half into their run, basically, their big hits are all pretty similar in the sense that these are big, anthemic pop songs. Not so much like vocally wowing, but really, I think, big and really fitting a specific vibe. Songs like Love Dive and After off this last album, I Am and Kitsch. They got hits for a reason, and they're kind of filling a slightly different mold than their contemporaries, right? I mean, there's a lot of female K-pop groups right now doing something successfully. New Jeans, LE SSERAFIM, aespa. But I've really not competing in the same lane as any of them, which I think is great for all these groups. And IVE Mine, I think, is interesting because it's their first real departure as a group sonically from what they had been doing. This is not nearly as anthemic overall. IVE Mine, 6-song EP, 17 minutes. The lead single off the record. Catchy bass line, but really I think it's much simpler, straightforward singing. It's straight up just a new sound. They just haven't really made a song like this before. Now, I don't necessarily think it's the most wowing or interesting song, but I guess it's notable in the fact that it's a little different. The big music video song, title track off IVE Mine, would be Baddie, which again, it's a big song. This is definitely designed to be a big single, but it's a different style of single. It's not as anthemic as their other stuff. Baddie, it's basically a trap beat, and the hook on this is basically like a hook you'd expect from NCT 127 or something. I think if anything, the rapping in the verses is really awesome in Baddie, and not something we've gotten too much from IVE to this point. I think the I'm a Baddie chorus itself, though, it's a bit, I think, annoying. It's a bit more playful though than the average NCT 127 hook. I think it's better than some of those, which can be really grating after a while. I like the whistle on the beat at the end. Pretty solid song. Again, I just kind of appreciate that it's a different spin from IVE. IVE really kind of spreading their wings and doing a little bit of different stuff here. Again, either way, really modest chorus, despite the fact that it has big production. I guess that's kind of similar to their bigger hits from before. Holy Moly, I really like the vibe on the production overall, the way the drum hits. Kind of like a messy composition, though. I guess you could compare this to 11 compositionally, but I don't think it's quite as good. It's probably my least favorite song on the album. OTT, though, this one really stood out to me. Really fast drum tempo. Really like the bass on this. Wonyoung was the sole lyricist on this. Very impressive to see that from a new group, of course. But vocally, especially in the beginning, very reminiscent of Doja Cat. I just love the vocal performance on this. Again, something new from IVE. It's pretty cool. And then the last song, Payback. And I kind of like the outro verse overall. I like that bass tempo. So it's, again, short and sweet K-pop EP, as you probably know by now. These EPs don't give you a whole lot of time to really get into them, so they have to kind of grab you quickly. And I don't think this really stands up to some of the past success of IVE, but it's clearly a statement of intent from IVE and Starship that they are not to be put in a box and probably have a lot more of a well-rounded sound to come. So hopefully the next full-length album continues to show this level of sonic diversity, and I think keep IVE going, because Not necessarily need to switch up what they're doing given the immense success that they've had, but I do think it is a bit more interesting if they had more variety as they're starting to demonstrate. But let me know, how did you feel about IVE's first EP, IVE Mine? And for more K-pop reviews, more music reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.